Hey, 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 guys. Welcome to another stream. This is another stream, I think the second this month. I can't remember, but yeah, this is another stream, and I'm excited. I'm happy to see you guys live again. I promised you guys that we're going to start doing this at least once every month, and this is me keeping my word, right? I always try to keep my word to you guys because you are that special. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I can see everyone is turning in. As you come in, give the stream a thumb up. Give the stream a thumb up as you come in, okay? And share. Let's have this conversation. Very interesting conversation tonight. And I'm laughing because it's funny. You can see from the caption already, it's quite funny that we have to have this kind of conversation this evening. So yeah, welcome. You see, I'm also sharing it. I'm sharing on my WhatsApp status, you guys can see. So you also share, okay? Go on and share. Hi, Ian. Welcome. Armageddon. Hi, Prince Chinwuba. Hi, welcome. Everyone, you're welcome, okay? Go on and share the stream. Let's have more people coming. I'm also doing that. This is a WhatsApp group that I belong to. I'm sharing on it. So share on your WhatsApp groups, share on your WhatsApp status and everywhere. Let's have more people coming. Okay, as you can see from the caption, Ryan Wedlow, Grace and Chat. Hi, you're welcome. I'm so excited to see all of you. I don't know why I get overly excited when I do a live stream like this. And that's because I get to connect live with you guys. And before we continue, just to let you know that if you're interested in joining me live in this conversation, just indicate. I'm going to, in fact, let me drop the link. If you're interested in joining me live, you can just click on the link and join me. I mean, that's the essence of the live stream, okay? So that we can connect and get to chat. I could have just made a video, talking about this and sharing my opinion and posting it here, and then we'll discuss in the comment section. But I felt like, no, this is a conversation I need to have real time with you, my lovers of Africa and everything Africa. So yeah, that's why I decided to do a live stream about it, and also in keeping to my promise of doing a live stream at least once a month. I think we tried doing it once this month. I can't remember, but yeah, that's it. So welcome everyone. As you can see from the caption, this conversation is about an incident in South Africa. Okay, and it's always interesting when it comes to Nigeria and South Africa. There's always, and then Ghana, or in this case, it's Nigeria and South Africa. There's always been this, friction and all of that with Nigerians and South Africans. But some, not, I won't say, or I'm not here to generalize, but it's always like a friction between some Nigerians and some South Africans. So in this case, this beautiful sister you see on the thumbnail is Chidimma. Her name is Chidimma Vanessa Onwe Adechina. And by that name, clearly it indicates she's Nigerian. By the name, Chidimma is an Igbo name, Vanessa, well, a European name, but then Onwe and Adechina. Adechina is Yoruba, it's a Yoruba name. And Onwe, I don't know, Onwe should probably be South African. If you're a South African watching, indicates Onwe, is it a South African name? Onwe. Okay? So that's her name, and she is participating in the ongoing Miss SA pageant, and she's in the, I think, the finalist. She has progressed to that level. And then last week or so, there was an outcry on in the media, social media, specifically on Twitter, that a Nigerian cannot participate in Miss South Africa, Miss Essays, Miss South Africa, in Miss South Africa pageant. So some people were, mobilizing the citizens online to move a campaign to disqualify her to basically remove Chidimma from the pageant, even though um, she's legitimately in the competition. Okay, so the competition, the mobilization was so intense. Hope you guys can hear me. It was so intense, and to the extent that a petition was even set up. They set up a petition that they were calling on South African citizens to sign. The petition is to remove Chidimma from the competition, and they've gathered a lot of signatures. Like, the signatures they're almost done. I don't know if by now they've finished signing it. They've signed it like in no time to remove her. But the organizers of the pageant says Chidimma qualifies to participate in the pageant because she's a South African. That she's a South African. She's a South African citizen. Okay, because Chidimma was born and raised in Johannesburg in South Africa. So she's a South African, even though she has Nigerian heritage. Her father is a Nigerian, clearly, but her mother is a South African, according to the information in the media. Her mother is a South African of Zulu descent, and that makes her a South African. More than that, she was born and brought up in South Africa, in Johannesburg, precisely. So, you know that before you are selected to participate in any pageant or competition for that matter, you have to apply. And there are certain requirements that are demanded of you to meet in order for you to participate. And the organizers of the pageant said, well, she met the criteria. All that she was needed to present, she presented, and she was screened, and she rightfully qualifies to participate in the pageant, and that's why she is in the pageant. So now I'm wondering, did the South Africans who mobilized on social media calling for her removal from the pageant have this information? Were they aware that Chidimma is a South African and that she rightfully qualifies to be in the pageant, and that's why she's in the pageant? And I've seen her videos on her Instagram handle. She's beautiful, she's eloquent, and she has all it takes to participate, just like the organizers of the pageant said. So really, I don't know what the problem is, but I think it goes back to some of the deeply seated resentments we have against each other as Africans. And that was the point from where I wanted us to have this conversation on this channel, because now I'm really picky about the things that I talk about. Now, Chidimma was the target for them, and the cause were targeted at her to be disqualified, to be removed from participating in the pageant. But in that same pageant, there were other participants who had mixed heritage as well. There's a participant on that pageant who has Asian heritage. Clearly, she looks, physical features are Asian, and based on her background and information, she's of Asian heritage, of Asian descent. But no one made any moves or made any calls for her to be removed from participating because she's not a South African. But Chidimma, being of Nigerian descent, even though she's a South African citizen, the calls were targeted at her to be removed from the pageant. Okay, I just saw a comment here. Someone is saying her mom lied to be Zulu, whereas she is from Mozambique. We are going to uncover how the fraudulent ID was obtained. Watch the space. Now, Muzi, are you interested in coming on to join me and have this conversation? Because the thing is, I like a balanced narrative. I don't want it to be a one-sided narrative. So if you are interested in joining me to expatiate on these points and these comments you've made, now click on the link and join me. I'm going to add you up so you can join me and have this conversation. Black Magic says, meanwhile, Black South Africans have no problem in crowning Europeans as Miss South Africa. Make that make sense. Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make also. Because in that pageant, there is someone of Asian descent on that pageant, but no one has made any calls. Now, Chidimma is a South African. Okay, the organizers have said they screened her. She was born and brought up in South Africa, and she's a South African citizen. So now make it make sense why the calls for her removal is being made or are being made. Why is she being the target? Is it because she's a black person like you and she has Nigerian heritage? Is that a problem? Given the long-standing resentment and friction between South Africans and Nigerians. And I feel like this whole thing is not even a conversation that we should be having at this point, because there are so many things that we need to tackle as Africans against these divisive tendencies that we tend to bring up every now and then about no, you are not one of us, no, you are not one of us. The powers that be already divided us against our will, against our will. Okay, now all we try to do is to push for unity, to push for oneness as Africans. And then some people wake up and I say, no, you are not a Nigerian, even though, because I know, for instance, in Nigeria there are ways that you can acquire Nigerian citizenship, one of which is by birth. Once you are born in Nigeria, whether you are born to Ghanaian parents or South African parents or not, you are a Nigerian by virtue of being born in Nigeria. You are a Nigerian. I interviewed a lady the other day on this channel, the Cotonou girl. The Cotonou girl, her parents are from Benin Republic, but she was born and raised in Nigeria, and by virtue of that, she's a Nigerian. She went to school in Cotonou in Benin Republic, but she had to come back to Nigeria to do the mandatory 1 year national service, the National Youth Service Corps. It's a mandatory requirement that all Nigerians who graduate from tertiary institutions must, it's an obligation that we must fulfill in order to proceed into the labor market to be employable. A certificate is handed to you at the end of the 1 year service. She had to come back to Nigeria to fulfill that obligation, and she passed out a few days ago and was handed her certificate. She told me by herself her parents are from Benin Republic, but she was born and brought up in Nigeria. And I was quick. If you've not watched that video, go and watch it. It's on the channel. Something about the dancing Cotonou girl in Nigeria. When she said that, I was the one who even, emphasized that no, you are a Nigerian because you were born and brought up here. You are a Nigerian. So, in Chidimma's case, being born and brought up in South Africa, she's a South African, except if South African citizenship laws say otherwise. But given the fact that, according to the information in the media, she's born to a Zulu mom who is a South African, has some Mozambican heritage as well. She is a South African, except you are trying to say the organizers of the show did not do the proper thing, the right thing, like screening and all of that. Why do we have to target each other? Now, there are people who are born to parents of different nationalities. Okay, there are some Nigerians who are Nigerian Ghanaians, who are Nigerian South Africans, who are Nigerian Americans. Are you saying that in this case now they are not either of both? Children who are born, or individuals who are born to different inter what do you call them, international parents, let's say international parents, are not um citizens enough. So if someone is born to, say, a Nigerian mom and a Ghanaian father, is the person not a Nigerian? The person is a Nigerian, and the person is a Ghanaian as well. Dual citizenship is is guaranteed in the Nigerian law. I know some persons who live in Ghana who are born to Nigerian moms and Ghanaian moms, and they live in Ghana. They are Ghanaians and they are Nigerians as well. So what is the problem? What is the problem? Monsi, you made a claim here in the comments, in the chat room, and I've dropped a link for you to come up. If you have the information and you are really sure about it, come up. Let's have this conversation. Let's talk about it. I mean, this is a free speech space. No one is crucifying anyone for saying anything. We just have to be respectful about it, because people marry, intermarry, and that promotes unity. It sort of bridges cultures and brings together people as Africans, or even as African European couples. It brings cultures together, connects the world, connects people. So why is, in this case, why is it different? We've had shows in Nigeria where we have Big Brother Nigeria show. One of the seasons we had a Nigerian Kenyan. Her mom is a Kenyan, her father is a Nigerian of Igbo heritage, Watoni. She participated in the show. No one called her, oh, remove her. Her mom is she's not a Nigerian because she has a Kenyan parent, or she's half Nigerian. No, no one called for that. She participated on the show. She did her time there, and eventually she was evicted based on the rules of the show and the voting pattern. No one called her out. We've had several people participate on national shows in Nigeria who have mixed, whose parents are dual, who have dual parents. This whole thing is messing up with my head, so just excuse this my English I'm speaking. We had Tibos. Tibos' mom is a Romanian. Her father is a Nigerian from Edo State. No one called her, remove Tibos from Big Brother Niger, remove big. No, no one called her out. No one raised any petition to remove her. We've had several people whose parents, one is a Nigerian, one is another nationality, participate in national competitions, participate in shows airing on TV, national TV. I would say even international, because Big Brother show, for instance, Big Brother Nigeria show is watched across Africa, not only Nigeria. No one made any raised any petition calling for any of them to be removed. So why is it that in this case a Nigerian is participating who has a parent who is a South African and who is a South African citizen at that, being called? Why are they calling to remove her from the show? You see how much hatred and resentment we have towards one another as Africans. But there's someone else on that show who has Asian heritage as well. No one has called her out. No one has raised any petition to remove her from the pageant. So what is our problem as Africans? When are we going to get it right? When are we going to let go of this hate, this resentment, and embrace ourselves as Africans and move ourselves forward and move this continent forward? Now, Moses said her mom lied to be Zulu, whereas she's from Mozambique. We are going to uncover how the fraudulent ID was obtained. How are you sure that she lied? How are you sure that the ID is fraudulent? Have you conducted your investigations? Are you sure? How did she get the ID if she's not a South African? And if she truly is not a South African and she got the ID, then who is to blame? No, we need to ask the right questions and channel our grievances to the appropriate quarters, if at all there are any grievances. Let me look at some of your comments. I think it's about the last name. In essay, for all 11 tribes and languages, the last name is significant and holds weight. I think some South Africans feel her last name represents Nigeria instead of SA. It goes back to what I'm saying. I've not said anything. You probably joined midway. You didn't watch from the beginning. Give the stream a thumb up, guys, before we continue. Give the stream a thumb up, share. And if you're a South African, come up, you want to contribute to this conversation, let's have this conversation. I really really will appreciate a South African joining me. So I'm going to drop the link again. Click on the link and I'm going to add you to the conversation so you can join me. Now, I said it um from the beginning of this conversation that according to the information in the media, Chidimma's father is a Nigerian, but her mom is a South African of Zulu descent. That is what I said based on the information in the media. And Chidimma was born and brought up in South Africa, in Johannesburg, precisely according to the information in the media. And by virtue of that, that makes her equally a South African. And the organizers of the show have also confirmed that they have screened her just the way they screened other participants in the Miss SA pageant, and she met the requirements. That was why she was allowed to participate on the show. And based on her performance, she has made it to the finalists. So, what is the problem? That's the question. So, are you saying that in South Africa, if a South African woman marries another man from another country and gives birth to a child in South Africa and raises the child in South Africa, that person is not a South African? Is that what your citizenship laws say in South Africa? Josie Shondas, Josie Shandos. I'm asking you because you made a comment about the last name carrying weight. Is that what the law says in South Africa? Because the organizers of the show have confirmed that Chidimma is a South African. She's a South African citizen. Okay? So what does your law say? If she holds a South African citizenship, then that means she's qualified. She was born there, raised there to a South African mother and a Nigerian father. What is the problem? What is the grievance? To be like, let's know. We really want to know. Yes, I'm denying her being South. Yes, I'm denying her being a South African. I'm just saying if she was using her mom's surname, I don't think we'll be having this conversation. Then that in itself is the problem. It goes back to what I'm saying. Because in Africa, if you are saying this as an African born in South Africa, then I think you are just trying to be biased in this conversation. Because in Africa, Africa is patriarchal. We all know that. I answer my father's name, I do not answer my mother's name. And I can bet with everything that Josie Shandos, you answer your father's name. And everyone watching this stream, joining me in this stream, you can confirm that you answer your father's name, not your mother's name. So you can't expect Chidimma to answer her mother's name for her to be South African enough to participate in a South African beauty pageant. Except you are telling me that South Africa is a matriarchal society. Is that the case? Then we'll say that Chidimma has committed an error or she's wrong. But if South Africa is patriarchal and children bear their father's name, then why do you expect Chidimma to bear her mother's surname to be South African enough to participate in that Miss SA pageant? These are some questions that I need you South Africans to answer because you've raised the petition. You must have cogent reasons for you to have raised the petition to have her removed from the competition. Give the stream a thumb up and share the stream, because this is a very important conversation for us to have, because we set precedents by the actions and inactions that we take, and it goes into records. The person who is of Asian descent on that on in that Miss SA pageant, have you guys investigated her to be sure that her father and her mother are South African? Have you? Why is she not being a target? Why is Chidimma's case special? The person of Asian descent in that competition. Why have you guys investigated to be sure that her father and her mother are South African? I only wish South Africans were consistent and showed that same smoke for the Europeans in Orania who racially discriminate against black essays from entering those areas. Because these are the conversations that we need to have. It's high time we had these conversations and stopped beating around the bush. It only shows the extent of resentment that we have against ourselves as Africans, and it's not going to help us. It's not going to take us anywhere. Nowhere. You have someone of Asian descent, clearly the features are Asian. In that competition, nobody said anything, but you heard someone who has part South African heritage on the maternal side, part Nigerian heritage on the paternal side, and that has triggered you as a nation to raise a petition to have her removed, even though the organizers of that show have confirmed that she is a South African citizen and she has met all the criteria set down for anyone to participate in the pageant. What is the problem, Africa? What is the problem? You leave the shores of Africa and go to the West. No one knows if you're South African, if you're Nigerian, if you're a Ghanaian, if you're a Kenyan, if you're a Namibian, a Botswanan, a Zimbabwean, a Zambian, an Ethiopian, a Gambian, a Liberian, a Sierra Leonean, a Senegalese, an Ivorian. Nobody knows that. All they know is that we are black people. They see this color. But the moment we come back on this continent, you are not us. No, you are not that. You are not that. And they don't care. And then we channel this resentment and this hatred that we cannot take out on the people who even brought this whole discrimination in the first place. Because we cannot lash out on them. You take it and then put it on your fellow Africans. That time, people, they get power. When it comes to fellow black people, power, energy, the full ground. Everybody go dey shout, hey, 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 no be us. No, you no be us. You no be this, you no be that. But when it comes to, okay, you versus the people who have a different skin color, you chicken. You don't say a word. What is our problem as Africans? What is our problem? The South Africans who have dropped comments here, I really wanted you guys to join me. That's why I've dropped the link here. Click on it and join. Let's have this conversation. Let's all know what really is the problem, what your citizenship laws say, that even if someone is born and raised in South Africa to part South African parent and another nationality as a parent, that person is not South African enough, or that South Africa is a matriarchal society, so someone has to bear their mother's name in order for them to be South African enough if they are born to a South African parent and parent of another nationality. Educate us, let's know. Then we will know that your grievances are, valid and justified. None of you is coming up. Last month, Ida Peterside was in SA refusing Ime Okon to represent Bafana Bafana since his father is Nigerian and his mother is South African, claiming that he has no right to play for SA. These are the problems. These are the issues we have. But we have, even in our national team, we have our captain, Trust Ekong. Trust has an Akwa Ibom father and a European mom. He's the captain of the Nigerian national team, our defender. So why is it that this whole "you are not us, you are not that" is always such a big deal in to other people? You come to Nigeria here. I'm not saying Nigeria is a perfect society by any means. We have our own issues as a country, a lot. But when it comes to, oh, you are not a Nigerian, your mother is this nationality, your father is this nationality, so you are not a Nigerian enough. We don't have those things here. And then if that's the case, then why do you marry women or spouses from other nationalities? Why don't you stick to marry, from your nationality? In this case, we are talking about South Africa. Why do you go on to marry spouses from other nationalities? Why don't you stick to marrying among yourself as South Africans, if that's the sentiment you hold? If it's a widely held sentiment that children who are born to mixed parents of mixed nationalities, even though African, are not South African enough. Why do you keep marrying? Why do you keep intermarrying? Why not stick to marrying South Africans so you have, South African children who are South African enough by your own definition? They did the same thing to us, Black Americans. They turned us against each other. That's the division I'm talking about. But in Africa, you all are the majority. There is no reason that you all shouldn't be running things. Exactly. That's the point I'm making. Recently, European revealed that she and up to 2 million other Europeans were living in SA illegally. These Europeans typically command high-end jobs and don't pay taxes, and yet it's blacks who get deported. Miss SA have a right to contest any competition. It's in her right to. It's in her right. I love her. She's beautiful. She must represent Africa. Because she meets the criteria to participate. We have people who have participated in competitions here. Josie is coming on. Thank you. Welcome, Josie.
Hi, sister. How are you?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Josie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
If
Hello?
you can't hear me, you have to speak up. Unmute yourself and speak. Check your microphone. Unmute.
Okay. Can you hear
Yeah,
me
you
now?
can speak.
Can you hear me?
If you are speaking, I
Me?
can't hear you.
Yeah, well, I'm speaking. I don't know if you can hear me. I can hear you though from my
Josie, if you are
side.
speaking, I can't hear you.
Okay. Even
Okay.
come back
Hi,
again.
Josie. Okay, I
Yes,
can hear you.
can you hear me?
I had to
Here
disconnect
we
my
go.
external mic. Right.
Fantastic. How you doing, by the way?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm all good, man. I'm enjoying the conversation, by the way. Enjoy
All
your work.
right.
I enjoy your
Thank
work,
you for
honestly.
joining us.
No, not a problem, man. I'm just gonna give 2 minutes of my time and just to share my thoughts on the whole situation. And this is just me, you know. I'm
Absolutely.
not representing obviously every South African or most.
Okay.
This is just my thoughts because
Mm-hmm.
as per my comment, or from the conversation I've had with people at work today and all of that about the subject,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling I'm getting from majority of the people is the representation. Firstly, let me start by saying we are not denying her being a South African. That I'm speaking for myself. I'm not. She if she has a South African parent, either a mother or father, I will. Who am I to deny that them being South African? But with the conversation, as I said, I had today, majority of the people feel the representation or the surname is what came up when the with the conversation I've had. It's a it's a Nigerian surname. So anywhere in the world, when she how do you say introduces herself, so she could be in Canada, anywhere in the world. If she introduces herself with that surname, majority if people who know surnames, they would say no, that's a Nigerian person. So she is representing Nigeria because of the surname. I'm not denying her being South African. I'm just saying um, it's difficult to say, but I don't know if you're
Yeah.
making any sense to you by
Yeah, you are making sense, and I get your point. I get your point. So, for based on what you've said now, for the South Africans who are disgruntled by her being on the pageant, is the fact that she has a Nigerian surname, and by virtue of that,
that virtue
there's a
of that, yes,
question
it's a representation. Yeah. Yeah,
a representation. Okay, go
that's,
on.
as I said, this is just the conversation I've had, and I'm obviously not
Mm-hmm.
gonna represent everyone in the country, but I'm just gonna speak from the conversation I had with people I
Okay.
know, friends, colleagues, and all of that. So yeah,
Okay.
majority of the people I've had the conversation about the subject, it was the representation. But just
Mm-hmm.
the virtue of the surname itself represents Nigeria. So now
Mm-hmm.
you are a South African, obviously. We cannot deny that you were born in this country. I'm sure she has papers showing she was born here. But the representation and I don't want to go deep into this because now I want to
No,
touch
feel
into other
free.
things.
Go on. It's
Some
a free platform.
yeah.
You
I
no
also
one is
tried
going
to
to hold you. Yeah, go on.
yeah. I also maybe try to make an example just to maybe show that I don't believe it's well, this is just my belief, by the way. I don't believe it's I think South Africans in general, they because I made an example. If you take, for instance, I don't know, maybe there is, by the way, I don't think there are any if you go to KwaZulu Natal, it would be rare to find someone in leading positions, maybe let's say whether government, all of that. People in those positions, you would find they have Zulu surnames because Zulu people would feel it's a Zulu land. These people, Zulus will represent us more. And I'm not saying, just by the way, it is like that all the time or everywhere in this country. You get what my point though? It's a matter, or from the conversation I've had, yeah, for me, I feel like it's a matter of representation, basically.
Okay. Thank you for sharing with us. I get your point, you see, but now let's look at the reality on ground, okay? When you
Mm,
look at societies are not homogeneous. No society on earth is homogeneous. We have,
true.
diversity, and that diversity is expressed in different aspects of society, in our food, in our culture, um in our names, in our identities, and all of that. Now,
Yes.
when you come to Nigeria, like I said earlier, we have people of one father is a Nigerian, mother is European, or mother is Ghanaian, father is Nigerian, father is Ghanaian, mother is Nigerian. Like we have mixed, they're all mixed like that. And
Yes.
for us, it's not a big deal. Now I'm getting the sentiment that for South Africans, it is the matter of we want someone that has our surname. So even though this person is a South African, but for the fact that this
Mm,
person doesn't have the South African surname, that's where we have a problem. But have you also paused to ask to reflect? I'm by you, I'm not saying you as a person. I'm
mm,
referring to those disgruntled South Africans. Have you paused to reflect on the fact that South Africa as a country is diverse? You pride yourself as being the rainbow nation. Rainbow in terms of your color. You have people of mixed races in South Africa,
exactly. Yeah.
right? That's the
Mm,
rainbow nation. You take pride in that. But have you also gone a layer lower to acknowledge the fact that in terms of nationalities, South Africa is also diverse. So racially, South Africa is diverse. In terms of nationality, South Africa is diverse in that you have South Africans who are married, who have intermarried with to other
mm,
people from other nationalities and have produced offsprings who are in their own right also South Africans. And this is the reality, that some will not
mm,
bear names that are traditionally South African, but they are still South African regardless. Have those disgruntled
mm,
people paused to ask? And when you represent South Africa on the global stage, you are going to have this narrative as well. These are conversations that we are going to have eventually. In Nigeria, we have that. We know that. We
mm,
accept that. Sometimes you see someone, um, you hear someone, they say this person is a Nigerian, and we hear the name and okay, how? They say, well, this person's mom is a Nigerian. Okay, that's fine. Oh, up Nigeria,
mm,
let's go. And we move. We accept the
mm.
reality. We often say it, well, jokingly, that there's nowhere in the world you will go, you will not find a Nigerian. For instance, you can
Exactly.
go
Exactly.
to the coldest place on the planet. There are Nigerians there. They have married there and produced children.
Mm,
You understand? We
I
accept
hear
that
you.
reality. By all means, even if you bear a name that is, I gave example of Trust Ekong. His mother is a European. He's our captain, the captain of the national team, football team, the Super Eagles. Nobody woke up any day to say, "Oh, no, 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 no." He's our captain, and we are so proud of him. He played at the just concluded AFCON, and you see how
Yeah,
outstanding he was. We don't have a problem with that. So I'm not
yeah,
saying that South Africans have to behave like Nigerians. No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that as Africans, it is high time we woke up to the realities of our continent, of who we are
yeah.
as Africans, and unite. Let things that unite us be more than the little things that we seek to see to divide us.
Yeah.
I understand that, oh, for South Africans, it's a big deal for representation, but this is a reality of South Africa as well. South Africa is a diverse country, racially and in terms of nationality. You have mixed nationality children, mixed race children. Tyler is representing South Africa on the global stage. She had an interview the other day. They asked her about her race, and she wiggled her way around it. Some people were
Yeah, yeah,
feeling,
well.
oh, is she not proud to be black? Is she not going to identify as black? And some South Africans came to her defense saying, oh, when you in South Africa, when you talk about color, it's a deep thing. It's layers and layers. Some do not identify
Exactly.
as black, they identify as colored. Now,
Exactly.
let's also have this conversation. Yes.
Yeah. So sorry if I may touch on that Tyler subject as well. So now,
Mm-hmm.
well, we all know the American history and how they operate in that land and all of that. So we do know, being the person Tyler is, when you get to America, you are automatically labeled as black. You are a black person. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so now, so now, I saw that on the social media, and people came to a defense as well, because we find it difficult as well that one of our people who we proudly um, um, call or name colored. So now it's kind of difficult when now she has to go to a foreign land, and we understand when you go to a foreign land, you have to when you at Rome, you do as the Romans do. We get that, they understand that, but it's kind of difficult for us to just accept when we see that America is now trying to force her to, well, not force her, but you know what I'm trying to say, trying to get her to identify as something she is not, which we are proud of what she is. It's another one though, which it's a difficult one as well, because I understand
Yes.
from both sides. I always try to look at everything from both sides. Like it's how they work that side. They are Everyone is black when you are in America, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, I actually think it's beautiful what I see it happens in more majority in the East African countries, Nigeria, Uganda, that yeah, you do accept people, you do accept, but for us South Africans, it's like when because everything starts from the top. So when the government has set these rules, and people have been taught this is how it works, and we've accepted that, and it's our belief, and it's how we see it. So if it was going to change, it's going to have to start from the top again, I believe. You can try start it from the societies, but I believe if you want to see significant change, it should start from the government. If they change the laws, yeah, then I think it would be easier, and it would flow that way.
Yeah, I'll start from the last point you've made. The thing is that people are the government. If we as people agree that there's a problem that needs to be changed, the government is just a representation, or they're representatives of the people. The people send people to government to represent them. They do not constitute themselves. The people constitute the government. South Africans voted the other day to elect the leaders who will go to form the government that will represent them, right? So if we are acknowledge that there's a problem, then it starts with the people. The conversation starts from the bottom to the top. No, this is not right. This needs to change. We have to make changes because when we leave the shores of Africa, I said earlier, and go outside, like we saw in the case of Tyler, she's black. When we leave Nigeria and go outside to the West, we are black. Nobody even knows that we are Nigerian until we say, oh, I'm a Nigerian. They see us as black people, and that is it. They see color. When we come back to Africa, we start to see nationality. We start to see tribe. And then we further divide ourselves down to the very nitty-gritty, the basic, and we sit on that division and refuse to, cross the lines and unite to move ourselves forward. Like you've said,
Even in
in
that,
South
even in
Africa,
that, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say,
yes.
even in that, which is why I say to you, yeah, you can try start it at the bottom, but I believe if you want to see significant change, because even in let's say for in a family, for instance, if you are taught something from by your parents from the time you're born until you leave their house at the age of maybe 18 or 21, whatever age you are, whatever you're gonna learn outside, it's gonna be difficult to let go of what your parents have taught you. You know what I'm trying to say. So if the government has instilled in us that this is how it works, or if our
Okay,
leaders
so
in our tribes
if I
and
can
our
ask you, can you just like expatiate what you are taught, like in this context, what you are taught, just so we know. Like I asked earlier, what the rules for becoming a citizen are in South Africa. Maybe you can educate us too on that level so we know, because you are saying, oh, this is the law, this is what you are taught, this is what
no,
the
no, no, I'm not
government
saying
says.
it's
So
law.
what is
I'm just saying, like, for me, it starts in your family. At home, we are taught. I'm Bedi. As a Bedi person, you are taught your surname. Surname. You you are to guard your surname. You are to respect your surname on your outside. It represent not just your family, but the Bedi people. So if I go and I don't know, steal at a shop, I get caught. Like that Pedi person. So I'm bringing shame to the Pedi people. So I'm representing my people. I don't know if I'm making sense, by the way.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So that's the context I'm using, and that's how I see it. And disclaimer: I'm not speaking for every South African.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the truth is, I think um we can all agree that we have a problem as Africans and we need to address them. Just the way you also said that some of these things um are the things you were taught, and some of the things that the law says or the government says, and if it's going to really change, then it has to come from the government. Even though me, I hold the opinion that change starts from the people. The people tell the government, this is what we feel
True.
is right, these are the needs and everything. That's why people go
That
out
is
to
true.
protest. That's why people go out to, air their grievances and try to speak to the government to do the needful, because the government represents the people.
Nah,
So in
that's
this
actually true.
context now, representation matters. We all agree.
Mm.
But in this case, this is the reality of South Africa as a nation. As the rainbow
Yeah.
nation, it's also a melting pot. I would say a melting pot as well, because you have South Africans who have intermarried to people from other African countries or European countries and have children who might not
Yeah.
necessarily bear surnames that are South Africans, but because of virtue of having South African mothers, they are South African in that context, and they are
Yeah.
not in any way less South African than the South Africans who have South African fathers,
True that.
except your law
That's very
says
much true.
otherwise.
Yeah.
If except your law says a woman cannot give citizenship to her child that is born to a, a father who is not a South African. If that's the case,
Mm.
then it's justified. But if the law did not say that, then
True.
that's a reality. And that's what
True.
the world needs to start seeing, that beyond being a rainbow nation, we also have South Africans who do not necessarily bear South African names, but they are all
Mm.
South Africans because they have South African mothers. We have them in Nigeria like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Mm.
yeah, go on.
No, great. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's high time we, we had these conversations and began to address some of these tiny things that tend to divide us and move forward. Let's talk about bigger things, because now there was something else I wanted to talk about today. Maybe we'll talk about tomorrow about visas and the inequalities that exist in visas and visa applications and all of that between
Mm.
Africans and the West.
Mm.
That's a bigger conversation that we need to have. We have Europeans coming into Africa on visa fee waivers, but
Yeah.
when Africans
Yeah.
apply to those countries, they are made to pay visa fees and then sometimes denied the visas. But
But
that's
but
not the
now,
case with
but
their
now, but
citizens.
now,
So we need
but
to have those kind of conversations, because that is how the world perceives us, in a lesser
true,
light. Not these things. As
true
far
that.
as we are divided like this, the world is never going to treat us any better, and they will not see you as a South African or me as a Nigerian. As far as they see this color, they will treat you the same way. That's the
True, true.
reality.
That's very much true. That's very much true. Yeah. That's very much true. But even in that, because I don't think it's the locals, people who you may find that if you go ask or do a survey, you may find that the local people have no issues with our African brothers and sisters and all of that. But it's the people on top who put these
Divisions.
rules, governments, whatever. So now they are the ones who we should be asking what do you see in the European passport that you give it access so quickly? What's the value in that? Because a normal South African will
Exactly.
be able to tell you that. The people in power, they know why they put those laws in. Is it maybe they're getting favors from the European countries? Is there, you know, it would be difficult for just us normal people, regular South Africans, to we can speculate, we can give our opinions as I'm giving mine, but yeah, I I'm always. I think I feel like I've said this so many times. But I
Yeah,
always
you
feel like
have.
change.
I get your point clearly, and I, based on your explanation now, I sort of get the sentiments coming from South Africans, and I
Mm,
understand. I agree with you, but then I'm only of the opinion. This is my opinion that, well, this is also the reality that
yeah,
even though we do not, maybe have not paused to ponder on, but it's the reality on ground, and it's a conversation that needs to be had moving forward.
certainly,
Okay, it's a
certainly,
conversation
certainly.
because it's a reality. South Africa is a diverse country, so this
Yeah,
is the conversation that we need to have as Africans, or South Africans need to have, and move forward. I really appreciate
certainly.
your sharing your opinion on this. Now it
Uh,
sheds more light on the conversation and has helped us to sort of have a better picture of what the issue
yeah,
is.
yeah. No, I just thought meant to dial in because I firstly sent the message and you read it. I didn't think my point came across as, so I just thought maybe to
Yeah, it
call
did.
in and just to clarify as to as to yeah where I was coming from, because as I
Yeah.
said, I had conversations with my colleagues during the day about the same conversation and all of that. So I was just kind of getting everyone's um, opinion as to yeah, and from what I felt was it was more a thing of representation. They just felt that the Surname is not representing them as South Africans. So if they felt, and some one person said, if it's fine, we don't hate her. We have no issues against her. She would go and win and go maybe to function somewhere, and they introduce her with that surname, because obviously then once she's been introduced, yeah, but once
That's
she's
the
been introduced
I
with the
get.
name, majority of people will well, not anywhere in the country, but majority of people will recognize a Nigerian last name. Majority of people maybe might recognize South African surnames. That's just where the thing was. And no, I have no hate against anyone, by the way, and as I have said, these are just my opinions.
I get it. I appreciate it. Now, I'm just wondering, a question, maybe not to you directly, but I'm wondering, these South Africans who see Chidimma's being on the pageant, on the competition, a problem, we also have a problem with that Asian person. If that Asian person wins, does that Asian person have a South African surname?
That might be interested to find that out myself. Trust me. I'd love to know other
Because that
people's
Asian person,
opinions on that. Mm,
that Asian person does not look black. That Asian
mm,
person looks purely Asian. So
mm.
I'm just wondering, does she have a South African name?
Yeah,
Is she a South
yeah.
African? For her to
Um,
participate in a pageant, I'm assuming that she's a South African, technically.
she is. I
But
would
does she have a
suppose so
South
myself. I'm
African
not
name?
sure.
Because it's
I'm
possible she has a South African citizenship based on other means,
mm.
not
That's
by
possible. That's
maybe by
possible.
birth. Because
Yeah, that's possible.
she doesn't have black in her. She doesn't look black.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not sure on that one, so I wouldn't be able to give any
You see,
opinions.
so that one did not trigger South
So,
Africans to investigate, but the Nigerian name triggered them to investigate it. Hey, Africans, who
oh
caused that?
Lord.
The
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Asian person did not spark interest, did not trigger
I
any
hear.
interest. That
Yeah, I hear
peradventure
your
she
point.
wins.
I hear that point. I hear that point. Yeah. It's interesting. Interesting to find out why specifically this went this way and the other person not. I'd be interested to find out myself.
I'm interested to find out too. Someone is saying
Mm,
here, as an Ethiopian person, we got taught as superior African than nations Africans. Like that's what I'm reading based on what he's written. But I guess he's saying here that as an Ethiopian, they are taught that they are superior to other Africans. That's what
well,
the comment I'm seeing in the chat room here. And this is conversation that we need to have because I've been to South Africa to not South
Ethiopia.
Africa. I've been to Ethiopia. I spent
Mm,
over a month in Ethiopia, so I can to some extent agree with this thing. I'm coming from him as an Ethiopian, 100%. I
mm.
agree because Ethiopia priced themselves as the only African country that was never colonized.
I was never
So
colonized, exactly. Yeah.
now they see other Africans as superior to them. That other
Mm,
Africans were not able to resist colonialism or colonization,
mm,
and even
mm,
worse off, the African countries from which people were enslaved and taken to the other countries, to the
mm,
Western world and the Caribbeans. They see people like us, especially from the west coast of Africa, where people were enslaved and taken away from, as
mm.
less to them.
Exactly, exactly.
That's the
And
problem.
I'm not
But
exactly. I
isn't
know.
it ironic that Ethiopia is the political headquarters of Africa, where
Exactly.
the African Union is seated? That is where
Exactly.
decisions and everything concerning Africa is made.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Africa has a problem. Not a problem,
Yeah,
problems.
there's
Layers of
problems, a
problems that
whole lot of
we need to
issues, whole lot of
address.
issues. And
Yes.
my belief is what I believe it's all it's all the people in the top, the people in charge, man. Because I don't believe the whole of Africa as a continent and people would dislike each other. But if there weren't all these minor laws, stipulations that they're putting against each other, this country against this other, that's what causes divisions and all of that stuff. That's just my belief, though.
Okay. I'm just trying to look through some of the comments so that I can comment on it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna head off though. Appreciated
Oh,
the conversation.
okay. But I really do appreciate your sharing your opinions and the opinions of the South Africans you said you spoke with as well. At least that has
Yeah,
added another dynamic to the conversation and helped us to see things from the South African perspective as well.
no, I certainly did enjoy the conversation. I appreciate your platform. And
Thank
before I jump off, I'm gonna say this once more. disclaimer, that's just my
Mm.
opinion. I'm not speaking for all South
The
Africans. I'm just
and
speaking.
yes.
Can I ask you a question just before I jump off,
Yeah,
please?
go on. Go on.
I have Nigerian friends and all of that. So now I know from my Nigerian friends that the word must in Nigeria,
The word what?
it's must.
MUST.
Yes. So I was shocked to find out that it's well, they believe, well, not they okay, yeah, that's a bit belief. They believe it's a commanding word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
said to my Nigerian friend, he almost choked me, that guy. Because I said, you must you
Yeah. It's
so
something I
is it
also noticed.
mm.
Yeah, go on.
So I
It's
was just
something
gonna
I
ask, is it
noticed
not
about South
used in
Africans.
Nigeria?
It's something I also noticed about South Africans. South Africans say you must not tell me to do that. You must not
Mm,
tell me, so must is it's a word that you use to give a command or instruction to someone that they are
mm,
obligated to abide by or obey. I just called
oof,
up the dictionary here.
yeah.
Must, verb, be obliged to.
Mm,
You are to be obliged to.
mm,
So when someone says you must, it's a command, it's an obligatory statement that you need to obey. An
need to
English
obey.
grammatical word. Yeah, so when South Africans use it, for me, over time, I've noticed and observed the usage by South Africans. And to use South Africans, it's not a command, it's just a word. But
Mm.
the grammatical root of the word in English is actually something that is a command, and you someone is obligated to do when you say
Mm.
it.
So people
Right.
would take offense if you use that word
Yeah.
to them. Oh
Yes.
wow, okay, good to
If you
know.
say to a Nigerian, you must eat this food. It's a command. It
Mm.
really, I'm not going to eat it. I don't want to eat it. Yeah.
I hear you. Appreciate your time.
And then there's
Thank you.
another word that South Africans use, shame. And that shame is
Mm.
not shame in the context of shame,
Yes.
but
Yeah, I learned that from my Nigerian friends as well.
yeah.
But to me, just before I jump off, I just believe you. It's a word people give it.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, man. It's strange. It's strange to me though.
It's funny, but yeah, that's how South Africans use it. I've heard Julius Malema also speak and say you and I'm
Yes.
like, this is command. But for you in your context as a country, it's normal. It's not a
Yeah.
command, it's just a word.
Mm.
But it's actually a command. We don't use it in Nigeria.
Okay.
If you use it in Nigeria, most then it's you are
Command.
probably in a position of authority or power of some sort to
Yeah.
command
See now.
a certain action
Yes.
from the person you are using the word on.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. Let me not take too much of your time. I appreciate the chat once
Right.
again. Enjoy the rest
Okay.
of your stream. All right
Thank you.
then.
You too. I really appreciate you. Hope to see you
You're
again on the
welcome.
chat some other time.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah.
This is my favorite channel, so
Subscribe,
hopefully next
okay?
time I'll jump on.
Subscribe.
We'll do
Subscribe.
so.
All
All
right.
right. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Right, guys. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I appreciate Josie for adding so much dynamic to the conversation. It made it and also sort of gave us context, okay? Um and kind of helped us to understand the nuance and the sentiments of South Africans and why they are taking out that action on Chidimma. But to be honest, I feel like, yeah, their sentiments are valid to them as South Africans. But if you look at it logically, I feel like really that's not a big deal because she's South African, in every sense of the word, a South African, rightfully. So um, she shouldn't be discriminated against because she has a Nigerian surname because she's a South African. One of her parents is a South African, and she's South African enough, and has qualified to be on the show. So yeah, these are conversations that we need to have, because South Africa, being a rainbow nation, is also just diverse on the national level, given that South Africans intermarry and have, spouses from other nations across Nigeria, or across Africa rather, and even from the West. There's this popular TikTok creator, Nara Smith. Her father is a German, her mom is a South African. Does that make her any less South African? No. Most in America is a solid advisory to do or not do something. Exactly. Example, you must not or mustn't go there because it is dangerous to do so. Exactly. So that's the when I first started hearing South Africans speak and use must, I'm like, really? But it's just, to them, just a word they use, but it's actually a word that you use to give a mandatory instruction or command to someone that they must either obey or disobey, or something they must do or not do. Yeah. Right, guys. So that's it. I really appreciate every single one of you for coming on this conversation and adding to this conversation in the chat room. I've read your comments. I appreciate it. There's the conversation of Akata. Let me know if you guys want us to have a conversation about this Akata topic in the next live stream. Then we can talk about it. I'm going to do another live stream tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 30th. Okay, I guess we are going to have live streams like back to back. So I'll do a live stream tomorrow, being Thursday, Tuesday, and I'll do another live stream on Wednesday, so we can have conversation. So if you guys want us to talk about the Akata topic, drop a comment, let me know. I'm going to we're going to have conversation about that Akata topic. And if there's anyone interested in shedding more light on that Akata topic, please indicate. Okay, indicate in the chat room or in the comment section. Tomorrow we'll come up together and have that conversation, because this Akata always comes up every now and then in fora like this, and I feel like it's time I also had a conversation on it, so that we can clarify it to some extent, because our African American siblings always feel offended by this, and we need to address it as well. So yeah, tomorrow we are going to talk about this Akata topic, so stay tuned, fingers crossed. We are going to have this conversation tomorrow about the Akata topic, and then the next day we're going to have another interesting conversation. Yeah, so that's it. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Okay, love you guys. Stay safe, healthy, below abiding. I'm the African storyteller. Okay, bye. Mwah.